Hello everyone, just Goron here and welcome back to building the Beekse Bergen and welcome to what is probably actually the last episode of Season 1, so to say, because we have finished, well not completely finished but we'll talk about that later, the final area of the zoo. So we are over here at Congo Square, all the way at the back of the zoo, and I'm going to pause the game again to get a couple of extra frames, because when paused, the game is buttery smooth because I got a new graphics card, but when playing, it still drops down quite a bit. There's just way too many animals, which we'll also get to soon. But yeah, let's actually start walking towards the last area of the zoo, which is the edge of Africa. And yeah, this was the last kind of area of the zoo that wasn't completely finished. It's the kind of last animals, so all the animals are now in the park, and only a couple of backstage areas and minor things are left to do, which we'll probably do on live streams, or I might make like a small update video that talks about the kind of final additions. But yeah, all the habitats are basically done, or at least as done as they're going to be for Season 1. Some habitats are going to get some updates in Season 2. Which I'm not even sure if I'm gonna call it Season 2. I'm probably just gonna keep going with the series as is. But anyway, enough talking. So, the edge of Africa starts right over here, or on the other side over there, where you cross these little bridges across this moat to get to the walk-through lemur area. And there's a little sign warning you over here that there's free roaming animals and you're not allowed to touch them, you're not allowed to feed them, in fact you're not allowed to eat or drink in this area at all. And then at the bottom here it talks about the company that sponsored this area. So as we walk through, we're going across this bridge, and there is actually a functional path in here, so yes, guests can actually cross this, and this is exactly why this was such a difficult area to tackle, because we had this path going across the water, and basically what you'll see is if we remove the water, we can't put it back. So that made it incredibly difficult and required a lot of planning to basically, once the path was in, I did not want to have to remove the water ever again. I did have to do it a couple of times because I was a little bit early in placing the paths, but that's kind of the thing you have to think about, because I also want to put the paths in pretty early because I want to work around what I can do with the pathing tool, which is quite limited. But yeah, we have two levels of water, kind of the upper level and the lower level. In real life there's a lot more levels, which we'll see throughout, but yeah, the game has the water levels kind of 1 meter apart, so I kind of only could do the two levels, but it's fine. It ended up looking pretty good. What you can also see is that this area is incredibly lush already. You can see all of the kind of plants growing around and stuff like that. I took my reference photos like a couple days before everything got trimmed down, so it might be a little bit extra lush than it's supposed to be, but yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It's a little bit cluttered, but that's also due to scaling. You know, everything's a little bit more packed together, because I do put down like the same number of trees and stuff like that, so that might be the cause of why it looks a bit more cluttered. But yeah, I was mentioning the pathing, that of course you also kind of want to build around the pathing, because the pathing tool can be a little bit limiting. Well, about halfway, well, not even that. Well, like when I was almost finished with this area, a new mod got released that kind of takes away a lot of restrictions of the pathing tool. So that was great. Could have used that sooner. So yeah, most of the stuff you see here was actually made without the mod, and I'll tell you if I used the mod for something. But it's nothing too substantial. It's mostly an area we're gonna get to in a bit. But yeah, over here, you can already see there's ropes all over the place, and of course we're on pause right now, but if I were to press play, we would actually be seeing lemurs climb around all over the place. They're actually using these ropes a ton, which is great to see. Over here we've got a little parkour area. If you saw the most recent real-life zoo tour of the Beekse Bergen, there was a little clip of me on this ropes course, which didn't go too well. But yeah, awesome that we got that in. It was a little bit difficult again with the scaling, because this area is kind of scaled down a little bit more compared to the rest of the zoo, just because we're right up on the border of the in-game map. So we had to kind of squeeze everything in just a little bit more. But yeah, it all fits. It all looks pretty freaking decent. So over here we have the indoor area of the lemurs, and what you can see is, yes, we actually have some lemurs inside over there. I couldn't make it a full indoor area, but this room is kind of as accurate as I could get it. The reason I couldn't make all the indoor area is just because I had to hide the habitat gate in there and stuff like that. It got a little bit crammed. So yeah, but we'll look at that a little bit later, because the highlight of it is, if we look over here, and we're actually just gonna press play for a little while. Everything's gonna get boxed because I touched the water probably. But what you should see is that they actually can climb in and out of their habitat. So yeah, here they come. I think I can see something. Yep, there they go. So yeah, we actually have them going in and out of their indoor area through these little holes in the wall. And there they go. They're climbing all over the place. It is fantastic. They all seem to be taking this route, but oh yeah, no, some of them are going the other way. Yeah, it's really, they are really kind of all over the place, and I freaking love it. It worked out so well. It took a lot of trial and error to get right more than anything. I wouldn't be able to tell you how I managed to get it all to work, but I'm super glad that it does, because it looks freaking amazing. So yeah. So going along, we have this path going through water, and this was actually made without the new kind of no path restrictions mod. The water is actually just right up against the path here, and I don't know why the game allowed me to place it there, because it was like, I think there's actually some water going over the path even. But yeah, there's actually just two separate bodies of water with the path in the middle. And then a little particle effect to give the impression that you are actually walking over the water. So yeah, looks really good. I'm really happy with it, and the mesh also shining, really letting this area shine and making it look so much more like it does in real life. So yeah, moving along, we can actually have a quick look over here. This is the start of that little ropes course that goes to the other side. And if we move along here, we get to the sea lion habitat. So there's a second entrance, so you can kind of just make a loop around this area. And what we can also see in this area, where we have the brick, I added a little trim around the path, which was a pain to do, because we've made trims like these in the past, where we took this one, the classic roof trim. What makes this one so easy to work with is that if you put on align to surface, you can kind of just keep placing them, right? You can kind of just go like this, and you can keep going. It's acting up a little bit because of the slope, but overall that one's really easy to work with. Problem is, I used, because I wanted to have that little brick texture, also I wanted to recolor it, because the thing that one is recolorable, but you can't really do that with this one. You have to just kind of manually place all of them. And now there's like 2 strategies that I use to put these trims in. One of them I'll put up right now. I basically doubled up on the brick thing so that I did get a thing that I could more easily rotate, because a group like that rotates along the z-axis instead of along like its relative thing. But what I also ended up doing, which I'll show you right over here, is kind of the same as with that classic roof trim, just having aligned the surface on like this, and then just putting down the path all the way, and then once it's there you can kind of just rotate them all in place, and then move them down and move them into place like that. Makes it a little bit faster than doing it all with the advanced move tool, but still not ideal. It was a lot of work, but I'm really happy with the result. Only problem is that it looks so good here. You'd almost want to do it across the entire zoo, but that would be so much effort. Who knows, maybe one day. For now, it's a very nice addition to this area. And speaking of a nice addition, I'm really good at segues, guys. We've got an educator, just like we've done all across the zoo. I hit an education point on the ground, and the educator talks about the lemurs. Look at him go. Here. Just look at that. That's so cool. They're just all over the place. We got an educator over here. This is also where in real life there would be a feeding point or a feeding show taking place. But the education point is not the only thing that you can put underground. Over here is a little thing from the Wildlife Foundation, which I'm really happy with how I was able to recreate their logo here. You can put money in here, and this is one of those things where basically the kid can decide how annoying they want to be, because each of these little slots makes a different noise. You can either put the money straight into the thing, or you can put it here at the top and they go like tack 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 tack. And this one goes like tack 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 tack. I think this one's the loudest because it gets a lot of momentum from the downswing thing. But yeah. But I actually put a donation bin underneath this. I can't actually show you because this tree is so big. There it is. So yeah, actually put a donation bin in here, so once guests start flowing into this area, we might actually see them throw some money in here. And yeah, for the rest, we've got this awesome little shed. I'm really happy with it. The shed shack. It's the ranger station, and it is kind of sponsored, I think, or at least trying to promote the Lemur. Oh, what was it? The Lemur Rescue Center. That is the charity that this area is trying to promote. Of course, a charity focused on lemurs and helping lemurs in the wild. Inside here, you can see there's like a big check that they donated to the Lemur Center through donations via the Wildlife Foundation. What we can also see in here is some kind of scenery about lemur, I think lemur rescue, I'm not actually sure. So there's this motorcycle, which looks very janky, but it does so in real life as well, so I'm actually really happy with how it came out. And then you've got these kind of cages that lemurs would be put in. So I don't know if this is like the cages that they use to capture lemurs to help them, if it's cages that they take from poachers, if this is trying to say like this is what poachers would use. I'm actually not that sure, but they look pretty cool, and once again the mesh piece is being very, very helpful in realizing this area. And there's also this kind of plastic book sort of thing over here, which I made out of gutter pieces and foam pieces, that has some information, and there's like newspapers and other little folders on the walls, as well as this big kind of poster about the various lemurs that live on Madagascar, like the red ruff lemur, the ring-tailed lemur, and some other ones that I do not know. There's actually more lemurs on this poster in real life, but I kind of ran out of space and willpower. So yeah, just a nice bit of clutter. And what's really cool, I haven't seen them do it willingly, like on their own. But if we can find a lemur, let's just click one over there. If we look at their traversable area, they are actually able to get up on the roof, which is really, really cool. Because I have seen them on there quite a few times actually. Because I guess they just like the elevation, and the sun is often shining onto this roof, which is pretty cool for them. They can kind of sunbathe a little bit. Look at that. That looks really cool. So yeah, moving along, another cool little detail is that these little bamboo things are hanging in the trees. Not really something the lemurs make any use of, but it does look pretty nice. I used the bunting pieces to get those small pieces of rope. Sometimes they kind of stick through the trees, especially that spruce tree over there. You can very clearly see it, but I don't know, I think it's fine. And yeah, so now I think that is all I wanted to mention here. Yeah, we are going all along to the bird of prey area. So we've got a bit of a view on the camel plain over here, and those awesome little shores that we made in the last episode. Down here we can also see, this is of course the big lake where it all connects to, and there's this little electric fence going around, I guess to prevent them from falling into the big lake or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's there, so I built it. Yeah, let's actually deselect our little lemur friend. And we are getting to the bird of prey show area. So this is not really a habitat or anything. It's especially in the context of this of Planet Zoo, there's actually nothing here for the guests to actually interact with. But we've got this awesome little bald eagle, which is like on a glove that is all made out of plastic. But you can kind of stick your arm into that glove and then pretend you're holding the eagle and be all cool. I'm not sure if there's actually a picture of me with that. I don't think there is, which is kind of a surprise. But yeah, the bald eagle is made by Drak. If you don't know, Drak's Birds of the World sets. I think this is the one that has the bald eagle. We actually have a quick look. See if we can find it here. Yeah, there it is. So we have the bald eagle made by Drak, and I did edit it quite a little bit because Drak's birds all kind of only look good from the front. But that's not something that I'm about. I like looking at them from the back as well, at least a little bit. So I cleaned it up just a bit so that, yeah, it looks a bit better from the back. And yeah, really happy with what that looks like. Ever since I started this project, like fairly early on in the project, somebody made these and put them on the workshop. And ever since I was like, wow, those look amazing. I can't wait to use those for the bird of prey area. And now it was finally time for the bird of prey area, and I put these down and I was like, oh, they really don't look as good as I remember. They still look good and they look really impressive, but I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I'm really a lot more happy with this one. It looks a lot more like the one at the real zoo as well, so yeah, super happy with that. Now moving along, there's a little wheelchair accessible area for if you want to look at the bird of prey show, but you can't really leave your wheelchair at all. Then you are allowed to sit over there, I think. I've never actually seen anyone sit there, but it is a possibility, I guess. And over here we also have a little peek onto the roof of the indoor lemur area. Nothing too much to see over here. There's some windows in the roof and stuff like that. And we can actually have a little bit of a peek at the backstage already. You can see some clutter. Nothing too fancy, I just wanted to have a bit of clutter there. But over here, I should actually, now that I think of it, I should actually add another donation box underneath here, so that people actually put money in here as well. Because this is a place where you can donate money to a charity that is all about vultures. And over here we've got a vulture statue. I found an amazing vulture statue. I don't mean to insult so many workshop items, today. Oh, I think I uninstalled it already. I found an amazing vulture on the workshop, but it had like 4,000 something, like it had almost 4,000 pieces, I'm pretty sure. And that is just way too many. Like I made 112. I didn't actually completely make this one. I wanted to make my own from scratch, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I took the bald eagle once again, and I kind of buffed it up a little bit, changed the head to be a bit more vulture-like, and it's not 100%, like, I feel like it needs a little bit more over here, or need like a slimmer neck or something, because it doesn't look completely like a vulture quite yet, but it's pretty close, so I'm pretty happy with it. And yeah, so here you can donate money to help vultures in the wild, because vultures need a lot of help due to poaching mostly, and not that vultures themselves are being poached, but the problem is that if a poacher shoots an elephant, and all the vultures are going to start circling that elephant waiting to get their fill, that alerts authorities and stuff like that there's a dead animal there and poaching might be taking place. So poachers don't really like vultures that much, so they poison all the carcasses that they leave behind. And sometimes, I can't remember the number exactly, but they found like thousands of vultures, dead vultures, next to a elephant's carcass, which is just horrific. So yeah, vultures need our help, so donating to them is a very necessary thing. Anyway, this is the show area. Sorry for that little sad moment, but I mean that's the reality of these things. It is kind of sad. But here is the bird of prey show area. So we've got a little sign: no standing up, no, I forgot, no eating and drinking is what this is, and no umbrellas, because of course the vultures are going to be, or not just the vultures, just the birds of prey are going to be flying very low over your heads as you're sitting on these tribunes. So they don't want people getting up or holding umbrellas and stuff like that, because it can throw off the flight path of those vultures pretty significantly. But yeah, this is the bird of prey show area. Got a very big tribune kind of seating area, and you've got one little tower over there, one little tower over here, and that's where the two employees are usually standing, and then calling over the birds, which will fly from tower to tower across the public. Sometimes this guy might be standing in the back here, so that they kind of fly over the people in the back a little bit more, and it's always a lot of fun, and it's so amazing to see all these majestic birds, especially Lady Maya, which is the bald eagle. Last time I was at the zoo, she was doing a very long flight around the area before she made her way to the employee. Apparently she does that just to check out her territory, because the entire zoo is basically her territory, and they let her fly around freely every now and then, which is very good to hear, because it would be sad if these birds would just be locked up in an aviary all their life, which I guess is the nice thing about these shows as well, is that they kind of get to stretch their wings and do some flying every now and then. But yeah, let's see, is there anything I should mention here? The flowers, I'm really happy with how I got these purple flowers in. For a while I was really wondering how I was going to do it, and I ended up using the regular flower beds to just get some extra color in, because the crimson something something bush that I used, crimson turkey bush, looked really good, and I was happy with it, but it wasn't purple enough. And even though if you get up close to it and if you look at it from above, it looks a little too purple now because of these flowers, if you look from over here, it looks just right compared to real life. So super happy with that. And another thing I should mention is that, of course, there's some speakers in here for which you would hear all sorts of music that I cannot play on YouTube, sadly. I think they use Pirates of the Caribbean music and other kind of famous bits of music during the show, But yeah, if I put that on YouTube, I'll definitely get some sort of claim. So I'm not gonna be doing that. But yeah, I struggled for a very long time to get the planting around these speakers right. I settled on the dwarf colonel thingy, dwarf coronal. I'm not too happy with it. The plants are supposed to have kind of the same leaves, but no flowers, basically. And it looks very messy. What I am pretty happy with is using the moss over here. I used a combination of the caribou moss and the Spanish hanging moss. And this is kind of supposed to represent like that bit of army netting sort of thing, that kind of camouflage netting that army people use. And they put that over the speakers. And I think this looks pretty close to it. So yeah, pretty happy with that. And of course, I do have them playing something. We've got just the regular music of the zoo playing here. Because that is what they would normally play before the show starts. So I thought that would be nice. Like, there is no show at all because we don't have any of those sort of... We don't even have birds in the game, really, other than some peafowl. But yeah, it's cool to have that. Like, oh, the show is about to start, music playing at least. So yeah, that is the Bird of Prey area. So moving along, over here at this exit, there's also a little donation box. Because yeah, don't want people to be missing out on that if they leave through the other side. I was actually talking to some people of the Wildlife Foundation the other day, and they were like, yeah, the mandatory walking route really let us miss out on a lot of donations because people wouldn't really walk past them as much, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, over here, coming soon, is the backstage of the Bird of Prey area. Haven't made that yet. I'm hoping next time I'm at the zoo, I'll be allowed to actually have a look back here and take some pictures. I still have to ask permission of that. I talked to one of the employees and he was like, yeah, if you get permission from the manager, I'll be happy to take you there. But I'm not gonna do it without permission. So yeah, I just gotta send the manager a message about that. And hopefully I'm going to the zoo in a few days, so might be able to get there, get a look back there, which would be really, really cool. I do have everything laid out, like from what I could see on Google Earth, so all the different aviaries are in place. Just need to fill it all in. But yeah, here we are arriving at the final area of the edge of Africa, which is the African penguin habitat. And let's just quickly press play for a moment just to take in that waterfall and stuff like that. Because this area I'm super happy with once again. Like, I prefer this area over the Lemur area. The Lemur area is a little bit cluttered with all the foliage and stuff, but this area turned out so freaking good. Can't wait until that backstage area is done as well. That's gonna add to the picture. Oh yeah, just that waterfall, all the little hiding holes for the penguin that they would build their nests in. So good. So yeah, over here there's a little gate that you have to kind of push or pull open, which makes sure that the penguin don't get out. And then here we are. So this is something where I'm going to have to admit I used the pathing mod for this area. I got a path that almost goes into the water. Well, it actually does. It goes down there into the water. It's something that the game would never allow you to do. I had a path here that was pretty good. It was a decent path, but the pathing mod just allowed me to do so much better. And also, because it also removes restrictions on barriers, I was able to put these barriers going onto the path basically, which I could have done this with the mesh pieces, so it's not that big a deal. But whoops. But yeah, the path mod makes everything just a little bit easier to work with. Although it also, in a way, it does make some things a bit more difficult as well, I should add. Connecting two different paths, like I had a path over here for the kind of this area, and then I had this little path, and it took me a very long time to get them to connect up. So that was a little bit more difficult, but yeah, overall can't argue with results. I'm super happy with the fact that this entire area is pathed now, and guests can get all the way up to the edge here to look at the wonderful penguin. Now, where the hell are my penguin? I think they got boxed up. Yeah, they definitely did. Okay, that's actually a problem. Well, we can have a look back here, because the habitat gate is, oh god, it is so much worse than I thought. The habitat gate is over here, which I'm gonna move that to be like over here. So in real life, the keeper would kind of walk back here, go through this gate over here, then this is kind of a half door, like there is no bottom to it, but you can swing this open to the back, like this way, and then this is actually a tunnel, and this is the roof of it, which swivels like this. I can actually show it, I think. It swivels like this, so you can actually close that and the keepers can open it again. So that's really, really cool as well. I really like this door. I'm happy I was able to kind of figure out how it worked, because I never really understood it. But yeah, that's kind of an area where the penguin in real life can kind of get back to and escape to, if they don't feel like dealing with being looked at. So once there were no penguin in the habitat at all, they were all back here, and the people were constantly asking, like, where's the penguin, where's the penguin? Oh god, they're all over the place. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix the penguin real quick. Alright, so I moved the habitat gate more over here-ish, so that the keepers will still walk through this little fenced off aviary thing, and then yeah, drop the animals off. At first I put the habitat gate over here, but they would get stuck. The animals would get stuck over here after getting boxed up. So I've moved it forward just a little bit so that they end up like over here-ish and unbox themselves. So should be no problem anymore. And now we have some penguins walking around. So let's get back into Treasure Camp just for a moment. So yeah, now with penguin, the penguin habitat. It is completely finished. So yeah, I completely lost my story now, but these rock walls are made by, hey, we can see a employee going into the ground over there. These rock walls were made by Haribo on the workshop. If you don't know Haribo, what the hell are you doing? Haribo made these natural ground patterns, which is just a whole bunch of rocks which look really good, and I figured I can probably use that to make these rock walls, and they look really, really good. I am so happy with them. They are incredibly piece heavy. I kind of trimmed down the natural ground pattern quite a bit. I took out like half of the rocks already, which made the rocks a little bit bigger and more robust as well. So that was a nice little effect of that. But yeah, super, super happy with what that looks like. It looks so good. Yeah, then with the nesting boxes in there, which was also pretty difficult to get right with all the rocks being there, but it all worked out in the end, and I'm super happy with it. And then on the other side, actually, on the other side of this little ridge, there's another type of nesting box, which are pretty recent, because in my first reference photos I had of this area, which were from 2019, these things actually weren't there yet. But yeah, you've got this awesome little system where you've got this square, and in each corner there is a little nesting box. I should pause the game again. And yeah, pretty space efficient. Only downside is that it does leave you with a pretty interesting shape underneath that roof, which I'm not going to show you. You can imagine it yourself. But yeah, on this side we also have this little boat, which isn't great. It is very, very functional, and all the imperfections, that's the word I was looking for, are very neatly hidden by the way I put it. You can see all of these planks sticking out over there. This boat was inspired by the one made by Sawdust. Sawdust might know he's a pretty good builder, and he has some awesome things on the workshop. He made this fishing boat, and I kind of took this boat and made a smaller version of it and put it over here. Put these fishing nets in it because it is a fishing boat. And why is that so important? Well, that is all about what this sign is supposed to tell you. This sign is telling you to look for all the different things that are threatening African penguin in the wild. So you've got yellow triangle, blue circle, and green square. So it is up to you to go around this area to find all those threats, and the fishing boat is one of them, because yeah, they take away food of the penguin. I don't like, my initial thought was penguins getting caught in the fishing nets, but I don't think that is a thing that happens. I guess it's mainly them taking their main food source away. And then over here, there's another one. This is a little sign that says, private beach, property of this and that family. And of course that is habitat loss. People taking in, like, making beach resorts and stuff like that on the coast of Africa is splitting up their habitat and taking in their spaces. So, and the last one is back there. It's a little bit hidden in the reeds, but there's all these oil drums. And yeah, as with any aquatic animal, especially ones living on beaches, oil is a very big issue for these animals. If there's an oil spill in the ocean, it ends up on the beach, and all these animals suffer for it. So yeah, not a good thing, not fun. And then in the back here, there's a little sign that is explaining all of that. It talks about all these threats and stuff like that. So yeah, that is the African penguin area, I think. So while we're here, let's talk about one little thing, is that there's actually supposed to be about 34 penguins here. At least that was the number in 2019. I saw on a YouTube video. I have about 15 here right now, and that is because of performance. I actually had to go through the zoo, and I think I removed anywhere between 50 and 100 animals, mostly flamingo, out of the zoo, just to get some performance back, because especially while playing, I get about, it's not even telling me, about 10 to 15 FPS. I was at about 8 before I deleted all of those animals. So yeah, deleting animals was a bit of a necessity to get this park at least viewable in play mode. So it's a bit of a shame, because I'd like to have the numbers to be as accurate as possible, but I also like to be able to play in the zoo. There's another penguin incoming by the look of it. So yeah, that's just a little thing I wanted to mention. And now let's have one more look at the lemur backstage over here. This is where you would normally get into it, and this is also where you can get back to the lemur area. I think these signs over here are actually from the corona restrictions, so I might actually want to remove them, because I wanted to make the park without any of the corona things in there. But yeah, over here there's a little thingy, just a little bit of clutter. There's a trash can with some extra bags here. There's a little whiteboard, which is where the keepers leave notes for each other about all of the lemurs. And there's actually where I learned how many lemurs are in here, because the sign says something like 16 ring-tailed and 3 red-ruffed lemurs. And then it talks about, like, oh, be sure to check if the lemurs aren't getting close to the electric fence, blah blah blah, something like that. So yeah, and then there's just a bit more clutter before you get over here. Fun fact about this wall is that I actually made this wall entirely curved, put a lot of effort into it, and then I looked at another reference photo and was like, wait a second, that wall is straight, it's just the roof that is curved. So had to redo that. But it was a lot easier the second time, because a straight wall is a lot easier to make. Yeah, if we go inside here, you can see it's empty. There's nothing in here, because I had to hide the habitat gate and stuff like that. There's actually a lot of cool stuff in here. Also these things, which are the gates for the lemurs. This over here, which is kind of all of that clutter, and the rock wall that is over here. wouldn't be able to make any of that if I also wanted to make an interior. So that's always kind of the balance. It's like, oh, do you want a good looking exterior, or do you want, like, if you want to make an interior, you have to be really careful with how you make the exterior, and to make the exterior as accurate as possible often means not making an interior, sadly. But I was able to at least make this room over here, which is kind of the indoor area of the lemurs. These are the little skylights that you see from above. I kind of faked them a little bit, but I think that's fine. And then you've got these windows, which are made out of gutters. I made out of gutters because at first I made them out of the East Asia painted timber things. Wait, actually I can just do this. I made them out of these, but these are climbable, so I had issues with lemurs climbing inside of the windows and climbing through the windows. So yeah, I had to kind of change that up, change them for gutter caps, so they stopped doing that, and are only climbing through these little bridges over here, which super happy that they do. So yeah, that is it. Let's have a little look from above, because there's like one or two more things that I want to mention. So first of all, here you can see that looks way too purple, but yeah, the important thing is the view from like this angle, which is just perfect in my opinion. Now, one little cool thing that I noticed while I was building this area, let me actually pull it up on Google Maps as well for you, is that there is actually kind of a circle thing going on. You can see the kind of backstage indoor area of the lemurs, and this entire path is actually very circular, and I don't think I did a very good job at bringing that across, but it's in there a little bit. It's just not as clear and obvious, but oh well, ain't that just the way. This area is pretty squashed in, as I mentioned earlier, with the lemurs. We are up against the border of the zoo, so to make everything fit, we kind of have to squeeze it down a little bit, so that's just how it is. But yeah, one more thing to talk about is another great use of the path mod. So if you don't know, because I've been talking about it a lot, there's a new mod that lets you basically place paths anywhere. Like, there is a path here, I just place another path inside of that path. It's ridiculous. The thing is, you know, I can build into the water over here. I can do literally whatever I want with these paths. It's freaking amazing. But one thing that you can do with that, which I've been doing over here, is it's a lot easier to put down underground animal talk points, donation bins. Let's actually do a donation bin. Because yeah, that is a super useful thing to do, because I've got all these trash cans under here, which is preventing people from walking through this plant. I guess we're constantly walking through here until I put down these underground trash cans, which is kind of an invisible barrier. And now they don't walk there anymore, so that's a super useful thing to do. You can also put them inside the trees and rocks and stuff. I did that over here. I put them inside of these rocks so people walk around that rock as well. Yeah, really cool thing. And the mod, of course, you can do that with the thing that the tutorial I made for it, right? Just remove all the paths, put down an underground path, and then place the things underground. But because of this mod, we can place paths anywhere. It actually doesn't matter. I don't have to remove the underground path. All I have to do, or I don't have to remove this path to put down the underground path. So we've got this little underground path that we put down, and we can just put our donation bin inside of there. Let's see if it wants to do that. There we go. I don't know if that is visible or not, because we've got the little stupid spinny thing. I think we're good. Let's see. Yep, it's in the log. So that's actually perfect. So yeah, now people will throw money into this thing. And we can actually go ahead and do the same thing at the other one. So let's remove this. And over here. Okay, this one's a bit difficult, but think we can just do this. Go down a bit more. And let's put in another donation box. So yeah, you can do this with education points, with trash cans, just anything really. And the path mod allows you to just do it anywhere. It doesn't matter. So yeah. Oh, we have flattened terrain on. So yeah, super useful stuff there. Just another great use of the pathing mod. I've also used it in a different spot. If we go like to the entrance area, I've cleaned up some of this pathing. There were a lot of holes, and what the pathing mod allows you to do is just, if you hold control, you can just put a path on top of something else and just fill in those holes. Just bam, no more holes. Alright, a little note here. I found out after I recorded this video that doing this causes guests to get stuck. You can actually see it on the right there. Those guests are stuck because I put down a path this way. So don't do that. I'm gonna have to remove all of them again. So probably gonna do a live stream soon in which we're gonna clean up some of the pathing around the zoo using this mod. But for now, that is gonna be it from me to you. We finished the edge of Africa, and now only a couple of backstage areas and stuff like that remain. So let's kind of chill over here with the lemurs, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next episode. Or stream, whatever comes first. Probably, maybe, the big zoo tour, which is coming up. So yeah, be looking forward to that, and I'll see you then. Bye bye! Why did all the lemurs come over here?